Good morning, everybody. We're back. We're live. We're in North Palm Beach, Florida, but we're streaming all over the world. We've got folks listening in California and Canada and even across the pond. I hope we have some new folks. We like to get new people on board the train. We're trying to help you buy a car without being taken advantage of by a car dealer. Simple as that. If you bought a car, and most of you have, I mean, it's a worldwide phenomenon now. Cars have always been big in America, at least since the past 100 years, since Henry Ford. But everywhere in the world now, people are buying cars. I can't speak for the rest of the world, but the United States, kind of a sad state of affairs. The retail techniques that have been in place for all these years, and I say about 100 years, that's how long we've had car dealers, has been a sad exception to the way you can normally today deal, actually pretty pleasantly in most of our retail transactions. Amazon has made a huge difference in our lives, and with artificial intelligence, retailers are getting more and more wise to the fact that if you treat your customers with courtesy and respect, transparency, honesty, they come back and they buy another product from you, whether it's a refrigerator or a TV set or an automobile. Car dealers haven't figured that out yet. They play games and bait and switch advertising, unfair and deceptive trade practices. But the end is near. The Federal Trade Commission is really getting serious about this. And we'll talk a lot more about that later on in the show. Meanwhile, we can talk about the future, but the important thing is today. And when you want to bring your car in for service or repair, or when you want to buy a car. And that could be tomorrow, it could be next month. The past couple of years has been a really rough road to hoe for the car consumer, for the car buyer. It's really been tough. Short supply, huge increase in prices. Commonly, cars are going for over sticker price, and the service department is not much different. When the car dealers realize that when life returns to normal, the service department's where they're going to make most of their money, and that's the way they're set up. Everybody in the service department is paid on commission. And when you go into that line to get your car examined, a safety check, always the free safety check, let us inspect your car. Well, they inspect the car and they find things to do to it. The question is it something that needs to be done? And the second question is the price right? If you have an issue with that repair or maintenance on your car, I've got Rick Kearney. He's been with us on the show for a long time. He's been with me as a car dealer for 25 years or so. And he stayed on top of his trade. He has stayed on top of the technology, which is not easy to do. You'll find very few guys or gals that have been technicians this long and have stayed on top of things. Some of them, are doing business the way they did 20 years ago. But if you're doing business and repairing and maintaining cars the way you did 20 years ago, you don't know what you're doing. Rick is extraordinary. He's certified in anything that you can do on a car, and he's recertified every year at least. So if you have a squeak, rattle, or roll you can't figure out, even an odor in your car, you give Rick a call. And we are easy to reach by phone. You new folks might consider writing this number down. Our telephone number to call is 877-960-9960. 877-960-9960. You can also follow us on Facebook or YouTube. Our YouTube channel is simply youtube.com/Earl on Cars. YouTube.com/Earl on Cars. And Rick Kearney, by the way, monitors the YouTube. We have you can post, you can even send an audio or video file, and Rick will see it right away. YouTube.com/Earl on Cars. And as I said, Facebook.com/Earl on Cars. The high point of this show, and I sometimes don't even mention it because we've been doing it for about 20 years, is our undercover secret mystery shopping report, where we go out and visit some dealer, usually in Florida, sometimes in Tennessee, sometimes in Pennsylvania. We've been in several states, but we focus on Florida and, frankly, South Florida, because that's where the studio is. But our undercover agent, Agent Lightning, does travel a lot, fortunately for us, and she's able to stop off at locations that we hadn't been able to reach until we teamed up with Agent Lightning. Agent Lightning, of course, is her undercover name. We can't reveal her true name for fear of bodily harm. Car dealers don't like being exposed, and they don't like their secrets being talked about on the air. So when we do a mystery shopper report, after we pretend to buy her at least a car, we tell you exactly what happened. We name the dealer, we name the car salespeople, the managers. We tell you exactly what happened. We go so far as to tell you when we think the dealer has broken the law, which is not infrequent, by the way. The laws that we do have are not enforced, and dealers get away with bloody murder, and we talk about it. You heard the disclosure if you were listening to the show at the beginning, when the radio station disclaims any responsibility for this show, and they say that we're fully responsible.
They mean it.
You can't sue the station. You got to sue Earl on Cars, sue Earl Stewart, because this crazy guy is just telling you all sorts of stuff. Well, can you believe this? I use the number 20 years. That's about how long we've been on the air. In 20 years, we've never been sued. Now, we've been threatened. We've been threatened a lot. And there's a couple of cases where I thought we were going to get sued, but we never did. You say, why? Well, because we tell the truth. You lawyers out there will back me up on this. The perfect defense against libel and slander. That's when you say something that you shouldn't say, which is not true about a good business or a good person, and you slander or libel them. The perfect defense when they sue you for slander or libel is the truth. So we like to think we have always told the truth, and we have. No reason not to. I mean, they're exciting. The truth is stranger than fiction when it comes to a car dealer. So that comes at the end of the show, the last half hour. We're on from 8 a.m. To 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in South Florida. So toward the end of the show, we do our mystery shopping report, and we ask you to vote on it. Now, Nancy Stewart, she's my co-host. She founded the show with me 2 decades ago when we were a half-hour show on, I think that was a Thursday morning or something, a little radio station called Seaview.
Didn't you start off with just like weekly calls? Like you would get a call from a radio personality to discuss cars at home, and then that evolved into you and Nancy.
That was before the actual show.
That wasn't a show.
That's true. They heard about our red phone and CV Radio. The DJ, the host, I can't even remember the name now, but he heard about the fact that there was this crazy car dealer in South Florida that had 5 red telephones around his dealership, and if you picked up the phone, it automatically rang his cell phone, and he didn't believe it. So one day, I don't remember where I was driving or in my office, and the red phone rang, and I answered the phone, and they said, "Is this Earl Stewart?" I said, "Yes, this is really Earl Stewart," and that conversation started, and after the conversation, they called me back and said, "Would you mind if we called you every week?"
Was it Barry O'Brien?
That's the way it started on.
Was it Barry O'Brien? He had a show.
No. It wasn't Barry O'Brien. No, Barry O'Brien had a show,
close.
but he was not the person. It was a disc jockey. Nancy might remember his name. A long time ago. Anyway,
Don Imus.
That's how this show evolved, and we've been doing it ever since. But anyway, Nancy Stewart, as I say, my co-host, she is a female advocate, and she has built the audience from back then to 50-50 females. Back then it was 0 females. It was like an old boys club, and the guys, dominated the show. And that's almost true today in terms of mechanics and cars, and guys are seen as the experts, and they're not. Trust me. And the women, they just don't yak as much, And so we finally said, you're welcome here to call about your experiences. You buy half the cars, you maintain and repair half the cars, and you represent half the population. So why don't you call more? Nancy has succeeded to get us to 50-50 female callers, and you'll see why in a minute, because I'm going to turn over the mic to her right now, and she's going to tell you about a very, very special offer for first-time female callers.
Thank you. I'm back, and pardon the cough. You'll hear that periodically this 2 hours. I apologize. But we have a great show ahead, and you can give us a call and be part of that show. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. I have $50 for the first 2 new lady callers this morning, and I have a question. If you you decided you wanted to purchase a vehicle, and I was just wondering what was the first thing that came to your mind? As far as, keeping the car on the road, how much it would cost. Did you go online to, just to become more informed as to what you wanted? And, you learn about so many cars whenever you go online or you pick up the Consumer Report. So you have to narrow it down and decide whether you're going to lease, whether you're going to buy. So a lot of questions. So this morning, ladies, share all that with us and give us a call at 877-960-9960, and you can win yourself $50 the first 2 new lady callers. So stay tuned. We have a great show ahead of us. You also can take advantage of youranonymousfeedback.com. And we're going to go straight to the phones. We have Lance who's giving us a call. Good morning, Lance.
Oh, boy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Earl, is it Christmas yet?
I think we're about a year almost.
Yeah. I guess you could say almost.
Earl, I keep reading that the era of electronic vehicles are just not developing the way car manufacturers want.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you and Nancy and Rick and Sue like these EVs, but I just really believe that this country is too vast and too broad, and it's just no way you're going to be able to locate charging stations all across the country to charge.
That's the challenge.
Oh, that's a valid complaint. In fact, you could argue, except for Tesla, all the other manufacturers are still working on that problem, and to some extent Tesla is too. And Lance, what we're talking about really is, I think it's inevitable that electric vehicles will predominate. In fact, they'll be the only vehicle at some point, and it'll be long after I'm gone, and it's going to be, I'd say, at least 25 years. But it's going to happen, and but that gives the world a long time to figure out the real problems, just as you described. It's not going to happen unless a person can readily get a charge on their car. It's got to be easy, and that will happen. Rick has got a point.
We started running cars in the U.S. 130, 140 years ago, and I guarantee back then it was hard to find a gas station, unless you were in New York City, someplace where you had some
Except
infrastructure.
the fact that there were very, very few cars back then. So
right, very few.
It wasn't a problem. Today there's millions of cars. So.
It's the same evolution as switching from horses, the way I see it. The infrastructure will grow.
So we don't disagree with you, Lance. We think that I think we get excited on the show, and as you say, Nancy and I drive a Tesla, and we make it sound like tomorrow everybody's going to be buying electric vehicles. As a matter of fact, your point, I'll argue your side of this for a minute. I was amazed to find out that Hertz suddenly decided to sell 20,000 electric vehicles.
A third of them.
And they were going back, if you go back 45, 60, 90 days, they were talking about they're going to have an all-electric fleet worldwide, and all cars are going to be electric vehicles, and they spent a huge amount of money buying electric vehicles, and now they're selling them as fast as they bought them before, and they realize they made a big mistake. So I think we all...
they're taking a $275 million hit.
Yeah. I think we all tend to look at things going to happen. Timing is everything, is what I'm saying, and I think your point is valid.
Yeah, definitely, Lance. Everybody is thinking, where are the charging stations? And we need more of them. You know, it was quite ironic. Yesterday, Earl and I went to the mall, and we're looking for a parking place, and suddenly we find one. It's quite short, but in front of that parking place was a charging station. And it was the first one that I had seen. To get to my point, the car was being charged. We parked, it was being charged, and we were in the mall for quite some time, and the car was still being charged when we came out. So it was really interesting. Rick, is there a difference between, the charging station that I use in the garage at our home and the charging station that is out there for the public?
I'm sure
Is it faster? Is it slower?
You get high octane electricity at home.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah, because it was.
Earl, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I hear you all talking about these batteries. Are they C, D, or double A batteries?
They're the big ones.
They are quadruple Z.
Yeah, they're like, you can't pick them up.
Yeah, they're huge. That's one of the problems. Is they're very heavy. In fact, one of the negatives about electric vehicles is the batteries are so heavy that they tend to wear the tires out faster. That's how big those batteries are.
Well, we've got snow moving in up here Monday and Tuesday, and I'd just like to kind of halfway start the new year off with a little quick tune, Earl.
Okay.
All right.
And in your honor, and we promise that in 2024, we're going to have the biggest Earl Stewart Day up here that you can.
Because I think it's the 10th anniversary of it, so it's got to be special.
Oh, I appreciate that very much.
Thank you, Lance.
We're going to have dogs and cats and
Oh man.
and airplanes and just everything.
We'll have more dogs than you do cats. I like cats, but I love dogs. So that's
Got to separate them, though.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, your car's broken down and you are too. Earl Stewart's going to tell you what to do. Check in and give him a call on Saturday morning. He's got good advice. He did treat you real nice. Earl Stewart is the best you can see.
Oh, well, you're getting
Thank
better.
you, Lance.
You're getting better every week.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lance.
We'll add that to all of your other songs. Thank you
to
so
the greatest
much.
hits album. See you next week.
Have a great weekend, Lance.
Have a good weekend.
You
All
too,
right.
my friend.
Enjoy it. It's going to be quite exciting. The playoffs. Look at. And I think that everyone here feels the same way.
About the playoffs? About the playoffs?
Playoffs?
Are the Dolphins in them? I think so.
You're
Yes.
silly. 877-960-9960. Or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Don't forget, youranonymousfeedback.com. We're going to go to
To the show, young lady.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay, I guess we talked about her getting rid of their EVs. We talked about that, right?
Briefly, it came up.
Yes. I was in Walmart when you started talking about when you went out. I'm shopping. Here's a guy with an EV. I'm in there half hour. He's still charging. Okay.
Exactly.
And then the Tesla Model 3, in certain cold conditions in the United States, I guess the prairie states, they get like 200 miles less mileage in their car in those frigid temps.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge difference.
But here's the big story. I'm so proud to be a graduate of the show. Okay, my friend calls me up and he says his daughter is in Arrigo looking at a 2023 Jeep, it's the high-end one there, Jeep Cherokee. That's the high one, whatever. Okay, so
Grand
she
Cherokee.
did a little homework, right? So she was looking at her blue book, and they go for like in the mid-30s around there, like 36,000 or something.
Okay.
So the guy first I thought, get her out of there right now. Get her out.
Right,
I think you got to grab her by the hair. Get her out of there.
Good instinct.
Right? So
Yeah.
then the guy asked her in Arrigo, where'd you get that price from? She goes, I got it from the blue book. Oh, we don't use the blue book. Right? I said, get her out of there right now. Just get her out. Get her out.
Abort.
So they're talking finances, right? So the Jeep went, let's say, from 37,000 to like 46 and change.
Oh my God.
So the guy tells her, well, we're going to give you the Arriga special treatment.
Uh-oh.
That's some treatment, all right. But
Run.
my thing is, like, when you go to that guy, let's say I owned that Jeep, right, and I modified it with, lights, brush bar, and all that stuff like that. They wanted to turn around and say they did that and charge up for it to get double different pricing on Arrigo.
Oh
From
boy.
Arrigo.
Wow.
So I took, he grabbed it, he says, Steve says, let's get out of here. She goes, yeah, you're right.
Oh good. Oh good. She didn't go
Sorry.
through with it.
Well, thanks for being a
Even though
vigilante. You
it
did a good
was
job.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
are definitely a graduate.
What a great job,
Well,
Steve.
with
If
honors.
you don't learn, you get burned.
Yeah.
How's that for a saying?
That's right. They're still playing the same games, even though we got the Morgan Group owns the Arrigo Dodge.
And
Yes.
exactly. And you know what, Steve? From the Consumer Report road report in January. Yeah, it's a January report. The mid-sized two-row SUV, the least reliable Jeep Grand Cherokee. It has a lot of trouble spots.
Yes. Because we know a guy that transport cars, he said they're not the Jeep of the old days. These are junk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And we see a lot of them on the road.
Because they're pretty.
my neighbor has one
Yeah.
with that. But I don't know. All right, I'm glad you're back. Everybody have a good New Year. Healthy
All right,
and
Steve.
safe.
Thanks,
Happy
Steve.
New Year, Steve.
I'm
It's a-
putting my diploma up on the wall.
Proudly.
There you go.
You earned it.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
The Medal of Honor. Have yourself a great weekend, Steve. And again, thank you for being part of the show. 877-960-9960. Or you can text us at 772-497-6530.
Yeah, I think it was Lance was mentioning the cold temperatures in the Midwest causing the Teslas to lose their charge so much. Mark Ryan, one of our YouTubers here, he says it's 7 degrees where he is in Indiana right now with negative 20 on the wind chill.
Oh boy.
It's like,
that's kind of cool.
wow.
Well, that would be a problem for me if it was 7 degrees. I wouldn't even leave the house. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to
Yeah.
worry about my car starting.
Exactly.
I think we're looking at all over the country, negative.
Yeah, but sending some warm thoughts to Mark
Big
and
time.
If you
all of
freeze to death on the way to your car, why should you care whether it's going to start or not?
yeah, all our YouTubers up there. Stay warm, you guys.
I have to share this with everyone. In my dilemma of illness that I've been in, so I go to turn. We have a fireplace, which we have really needed. Speaking of the weather, Rick,
It's freezing down here.
and I go to turn the fireplace off with the remote control, and I pick up the remote control, and I go to click it, and the remote control flips into the fire.
Oh boy. Did you retrieve it?
And so what do you instantly want to do? You just want to jump into the fire to
Yeah.
get the remote out, or you're hoping that the remote went somewhere where it didn't touch the fire. So anyway, I, immediately, called our service person, and he was on the phone, and I was telling him that it had gone in. By then, I had screamed for Earl. He ran out and turned the gas off,
Okay.
and then we got the tongs out and so on and so forth. But
Did it melt?
the remote was unscathed.
Excellent. They're such good quality these days.
Yeah, exactly.
Fireproof.
It's an interesting story. Okay, Earl wants me to get back to Earl on cars.
business.
He starts to get a little nervous when I go off track. And we are going to go to Coral Springs, where we're going to talk to Stu. Good morning, Stu.
How you doing?
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
First, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
Stu.
Year to you, Stu. What can we do for you?
Thank you. Well, I got to say, listening to your show every weekend, it made me a better buyer because I just recently bought a 2008 Toyota Solara convertible from Grieco Ford in Delray.
Oh, boy.
And those guys are fantastic. They're really good.
Oh, good.
And they had originally they had the $9.99 dealer fee. So what the asking price of the car was with 190,000 miles on it was $3,900. I offered him $2,500 and walked out of there with tax tag and title for $4,000, just over
Good
$4,000.
Good job.
But before I bought the car, I said I want to see the car up on the lift so I can inspect the bottom for any kind of rust or water damage. They were happy to do it. It had a check engine light on. The guy pulled the code for me, which was a 456, which is a evap leak. No big deal.
Yeah.
Could be no big deal. When I got the car home and looked under the hood again, I found the hose off that goes to the air cleaner box, thinking that would be the issue, but it's not. Car runs fantastic. Looks like somebody did a ton of work to this car because it originated out of Massachusetts, then Port St. Lucie, West Palm, and their location.
Yeah, you found a good one.
Yeah, 190,000 miles. It rides real nice, no shake. Top works perfect. Windows work perfect.
We found a big improvement with the Grieco dealerships. They used to be on our naughty list, and they've improved. I don't know if it's they got the message or it's just they just discovered it's a better way to.
Stu, you made a very good point here just by the fact that you bought a Solara. There are certain cars, a Solara convertible, Toyota Solara convertible is one of them. They are very, very high demand, low supply. There are other cars out there. This car, if you take care of it, which I'm sure you will, you'll be able to trade that in 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years and maybe get the same thing that you paid for it. It's amazing what a classic car, how they hold their value. It's hard to figure out. You have to pay through the nose to get one in the first place, but sometimes you're better off to pay a little bit too much for a well cared for classic car and then hold on to it. If you follow classic cars, you will see that they actually do better than the stock market in terms of return on investment. But you really got to know what you're doing and do what you did to check it out carefully before you buy it. But you couldn't have made a better purchase than that Solara.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And maintenance is the key. I've been in automotive since I'm 13, so I'm pretty strict on maintenance.
Yeah,
as much as I can.
Stu, you're an educated consumer, and we want to thank you for the compliment of listening to the show and learning so much. One of the things that I talk about is this last thing that you just said, and that's what it costs to keep the car on the road, your maintenance. But boy, you get the award for the, an educated consumer and listening to our show.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You guys are fantastic. Keep up the great work and stay healthy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stu. Have a great weekend. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Ladies, don't forget you can win yourself $50 this morning, the first 2 new lady callers, and you can call and talk about anything you choose. 877-960-9960. We're going to go to Howard, who is also a regular caller, and he's calling us from Jupiter. Good morning, Howard.
Good morning, Nancy. Go Steelers.
Thank you so much. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I know. Okay, my question is about brakes in the master cylinder. I don't think master cylinders fail anymore, and I don't know why. I never heard of any of my neighbors saying I have a problem with my master cylinder. There's no maintenance on them, and can you explain why they're holding up? And I don't think you see too many cases where the master cylinder failed.
Because somebody out there, one of the designers, goofed up and forgot to put in the whole point of the lifespan of it, so that they could have it fail and sell more. So they goofed up and they made a good one that actually works and holds up, and everybody else went with it. Yeah, master cylinders now are incredibly reliable. They've gone the way with like drive belts. I mean, we used to put drive belts on cars 15, 20, 30,000 miles. Now they're lasting 150,000 miles or more.
Amazing.
Master cylinder, you use it for the life of your car. You take it off, you put it on another car, use it for the life of that car, and probably into the third car, maybe it might start to wear out. They're very rare that they fail anymore.
Yeah. Now, one other question: the emergency brake. I have no idea if there's where it is and how it's maintained, and if you have to have it replaced. Can you explain how? I'm concerned with the Camry. So,
what year Camry?
2017.
Okay, it's 17. Yours should be the parking brake is built into the rear calipers, and basically when you apply the parking brake, it simply uses a cable to push the piston out and mechanically lock the rotor. So you're not using hydraulic pressure; it's using a mechanical force. And when you release it, it lets the piston go a little bit. It only requires a millimeter of movement to lock the brake on a disc brake. So it's a very simple, straightforward system. Locks it up and releases when you release it.
Okay, like 10 years before, how was it? It was a different parking brake.
10 years before, on a disc brake, inside the center hub, you had a little miniature set of drum brakes in there. And if it was regular drum brake Camry on the rear with no disc brake on the rear, then you would simply have a cable that would apply the drum brakes inside normal. But otherwise, on the disc brake down inside the center hub, you had another set of brakes. Actually, so you actually had 3 sets of brakes on the car: front, rear, and the parking brake. And they decided, why do that? That's too complicated. Just make the rear brake having a parking brake to it.
In my 2007 Camry, I had, when I traded it in, I had like 70,000 miles, and the rear brakes never went. And they were drum brakes, and the drum never had to be taken out or cut. Why is that?
Drum brakes are very long-lasting, longevity-wise, just because of their design. The drawback to it is they're not very efficient at stopping the car. That's why with a car that has disc brakes in the front, drum in the back, the front brakes do about 70% of the stopping power of the car. And of course, when you're hitting the brakes, the weight of the car is pushing forwards onto those rear wheels. Your rear brakes are actually lifting up a little bit. They don't get the same weight on them, so they don't need near as much power or pressure, and your drum brakes just don't wear.
I remember years ago when I had drum brakes in the front. Whenever it rained, it was dangerous because the car would skid. The drum brakes in front are terrible. And in Europe, I don't think they ever use drum brakes. Am I correct? European cars?
Actually, drum brakes first came out years ago, but once they got disc, everybody started going to disc everywhere.
Yeah, in Europe they were using disc well before we started using them here.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, great information as usual. Thank you very much. You guys have a good day.
Thank you, Howard. Have
Thanks,
a great
Howard.
weekend. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. And don't forget your anonymous feedback. You can take advantage of that also. We do have $50 for the first 2 new lady callers, and you can give us a call and talk about anything you'd like. Just give us a call, ladies. We need your support, and we need your support in, building this platform. 877-960-9960. We're going to go to, this morning is a morning of regular callers that we have in our camp. We're going to go to Palm City and talk to John.
Good morning, Nancy. Welcome back.
Good morning.
Speaking about cars not to buy today like the Jeep, the federal government, Justice Department, fined $1.6 billion fine to Cummins diesel. The vehicles involved go far as back as 2013 up to 2023, Ram 2500, 2300, etc., which is used in the Dodge Ram pickup trucks. It's a violation of the Clean Air Act, which was done in the past by Volkswagen. Volkswagen was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
That was the largest fine. That was $14.7 billion.
Yeah.
But this is a serious problem that Cummins is paying through the nose for, and to do with the defeat the devices with the Clean Air Act. So I just want to say amount of fine, $1.6 billion, and it goes back as far as 2013 on the Dodge Rams.
They make diesel engines for like everybody, right? Like for car manufacturers and
Yes,
truckers,
trucks.
just everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a reliable. Rick will tell you probably. Rick will tell you Cummins, General Motors and others have failed in their diesel engines. In the 80s, if you remember, they converted a gasoline engine, which was a bomb, and they had put it in the GM cars. But Cummins is successful with it, but it's a fact that they were cheating with the Clean Air Act, and that's a big blow against them.
Yeah, they don't mess around.
Is.
And Cummins and Volkswagen are just 2 that got caught because I guarantee if you go back over the years, ever since emission controls came into existence, there's probably a lot more cheating that never got caught. But I think when they set examples, especially with Volkswagen, it scared the hell out of everybody, and so I think they're going to be adhering. But on a broader thought, the morals of automobile manufacturers absolutely, or the immorality, the fact, how could you lie, cheat, and steal? I think the president of Volkswagen had to resign over that. It wasn't just some engineer. It went to the top. Dishonesty went all the way to the top of one of the biggest auto manufacturers in the world. In fact, they were the biggest at one time, and for them to lie and actually have executives go to jail, this has happened to Hyundai, Nissan. I would almost say most auto manufacturers have had serious criminal action at the very top.
I think. I mean, we got the former CEO of Nissan on the run in Lebanon.
Yeah.
It doesn't end there. Well,
Carlos Ghosn.
Ghosn. That's what I was trying to think of the name. Yeah.
And besides $14.7 billion that Volkswagen paid, they had to buy back 430,000 cars.
Yeah.
They had a class action suit against them. Besides.
Yeah, I bet you're totally right. The cheating goes on. It's much more broad because what makes Cummins think that they can get away with it? You have Volkswagen in the news. God, they get charged billions of dollars in fines. Better not do anything. But the examples they know about are the ones that don't get caught. So they go for it.
I think that Toyota is smart that they never, to my opinion, they never offered a diesel.
Yeah, well, I think they did overseas. I think you could. Yeah. I think didn't they make like some trucks?
Right, not in USA.
Not in the USA.
Not in the USA. No. Now, for a long time, I wondered before they caught Volkswagen, because of the pollution of the diesel. Very few manufacturers were building diesels and selling in the United States. Meanwhile, Volkswagen sell the hell out of diesels and taking over the market, making billions of dollars somehow they're building these clean diesels. How do they do it? Well, they lie about it.
Right, that's how it's done.
They finally got them.
And I remember the days when diesel fuel was less priced than regular gasoline.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
those were
stay away
good
from the
days.
diesel.
Yeah.
People would pump diesel into their fuel tank, thinking, "Oh boy, cheap gas." We'd made good money then.
True.
All right, guys. I'm looking forward to the shopping report.
All right.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, John. Have a great weekend. And speaking of the mystery shopping report, we shopped Mullinex Ford, so stay tuned for that. As I look at this consumer report and see how they have really listed these least reliable models and their luxury models and things that you just take for granted that when you're going to purchase it, you got a great car. Not true. For instance, take a look at this. Pick up that January edition of the Consumer Report. You'll find a lot of information in here if you're going out to purchase anything at all, whether it be a subcompact or a midsize, whatever. But back to the ratings, the Volkswagen Tahoe, it got a rating of 18 for reliability, and these are really
out of 20. Out of 100. Okay. I just want to make sure we want to emphasize that.
Yeah, it's
18
100.
out of 100. That's
so back to the Tahoe. You're looking at some serious things that are wrong with this vehicle. The transmission, we're looking at the electrical system, and so on and so forth. And then we get over to the pickup truck, the Ford F-150 hybrid. It gets a 19 for reliability. So this is an interesting report, a road report from.
So if you're considering the Tahoe or the the
F-150,
F-150, get the F-150. It's better. It's one better.
It's
one more better.
1 point
one
better.
more better on reliability.
Yeah, 1 point better. Anyway, let's get back to our phone calls. Give us a call toll free at 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. As I mentioned earlier in the show, $50 for the first 2 new lady callers. We're going to stay with the phones, and we're going to talk to Marty from West Palm Beach. Good morning, Marty.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
You're better? Good.
Getting better.
Good. First thing I want to say is go Buffalo Bills.
I'm telling you, there's just a lot of great teams, isn't there?
Yeah.
And look at that. Stu was kidding about the Miami Dolphins. I mean, the last time they were in the playoffs was a long time ago, 1999.
Wow.
So, I just wanted to say the New York governor told everybody to stay home because of the weather and watch the game on TV. And I wouldn't tell you what my grandson said.
Honestly.
It was not nice to the governor.
Yeah, exactly. So he was out there at the caucus, right?
Yeah. No, we're from Rochester, and I've been through Rochester and Buffalo winters. So people are saying, bad weather now. You never lived in Rochester and Buffalo either. If you were in there, we've had plenty of years. That's why we've been in Florida for 20 years.
Yeah.
My other question is, I got to ask Rick a question.
Okay.
Do cars ever need tune-ups anymore?
Really old cars do.
Well, yeah. All the new cars are getting tune-ups all the time while you're driving.
Oh.
So that's what used to be an original tune-up was you replace the spark plugs, you replace the points in the condenser, and the mechanic would adjust the timing for the points and adjust the timing for the ignition, and he would adjust the carburetor's mixture. Well, now the computer is controlling the timing multiple hundred times a second. It's adjusting the timing. It can adjust the timing between each cylinder firing. So when cylinder number 1 fires, it can change the timing to adjust it for number 2. Same thing for the fuel injectors. The computer is constantly adjusting the duration and timing of the spray for the fuel injectors for each individual cylinder. And it's watching the exhaust flow through the oxygen sensors, the air fuel ratio sensors, and constantly getting a tune-up done 100 times a second. The only thing it cannot do is replace its own spark plugs. But spark plugs now are 100 to 150,000 mile lifespan. Iridium plugs. And so as long as you replace the plugs on time, you're literally kept in tune all the time.
I like how you put that. You do get
well,
tune-ups.
I'll tell you, must have been bad mechanics in Rochester because I used to do tune-ups, and half of them, the cars would backfire, and I always had to bring them back for some kind of an adjustment. So they've definitely improved cars today.
Didn't they, when they did tune-ups, the timing, it would produce a sound, and they would, depending on the gear, they could, by listening to the car, they knew if the timing was right, or...
You could do that, but the best way was with a dwell meter that actually showed you when you were in proper time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
All right. Well, as long as Buffalo wins tomorrow, it'll be a good weekend.
Sorry, Marty. That's not going to happen.
We can only hope. Hey, Marty, enjoy that game. No matter who wins, the best team wins, right? You and your grandson.
Yeah, very good. All right. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Thank you. We are going to go to, I hope I don't mess up your name, Delio from New York. Oh, Delio, you caught my cold.
You sound like Nancy and Rick.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. Did I pronounce your name correctly, Delio?
Okay, it's pronounced Delio, but Delio is okay.
Delio, okay. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I have a question. I have a 2019 Subaru Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And back in 2021, they tell me that the brakes were going and needed a replacement. I didn't do it until 2022. Now, in 2024, I took it for inspection, and they tell me that the rear brakes need replacement again. Is that normal, or there's something going on with some defection in the model?
Well, how many miles are you driving?
I got 31,000 miles on it now, and I drive per year no more than 5,000 or 6,000 miles per year.
Oh, that's low.
That seems a little low. I'd be having a mechanic check things out, because with disc brakes, if the slider pins on the caliper begin to seize up, say they get rusty or something, then one set of pads can wear out a lot faster than the others, or your pads may not release properly, and that can cause it to wear faster. So if you're needing brakes that quickly, I would have a mechanic check them and make sure to clean everything up.
I get a second opinion. If you're talking to one guy, I certainly would get a second opinion, because, as Rick says, that's a very unusual thing to happen to a Subaru.
Very unusual.
Right. That's what I say. Why shall I need within a year and a half?
What year is it? Was it a 22?
A 17 Subaru.
17. Okay,
but
my friend has a 20 Subaru. Same car, doesn't have any brake issues as far as I know.
Yeah,
you got a unique case here.
Yeah. So, what do you suggest again?
Get a second.
Yeah, I'd get a second opinion from another mechanic. Go online and look for the Subaru forums, and find a local group for Subaru owners, and ask them who they trust for their mechanics.
Those Subaru
and you'll get some
forums.
great recommendations that way.
That's a great place to go.
I just Googled Subaru brakes, and Google says that brakes on a Subaru should last 50,000 miles. So there's something really wrong with what you're being told, I think. So if you go to another technician, another mechanic, and get a second opinion, you'll probably get a reverse of what the first one said.
Did the mechanic that you spoke to most recently, does he know it wore out that soon, and he's just recommending doing the brakes, or is he recommending there's something?
I take it to the dealership.
Oh, the
I
dealership.
take it to the dealership, and
It didn't seem alarming to them that it was so soon that they had to be replaced. That's.
I asked them, but they act like they don't understand it.
Okay.
You know, they just say that I need.
Yeah, it's as simple as what Earl and Rick said. Somebody else has got to look at it. Anybody else who hears it, it's been 2 years. They know that there's a deeper problem that they got to look at.
That second opinion is really worth its weight in gold. That's what you need to do.
Right. Okay.
Well, thank you, and give us a call. Let us know how things turned out for you.
I certainly will. Thank you.
We look forward to talking to you next week. Have a great weekend. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Ladies, please give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. First-time callers, first two, you win yourself $50. That's 877-960-9960. We're going to go to John. He's a regular caller from West Palm Beach. Good morning, John.
Hey, good morning. I got a question for Rick. Got a 2003 Avalon Exa LS, and I'm getting ready to change the timing belt. So I thought, well, I'm going to look it up, and since it's been a while since I did it. And in looking through some of the things, something came up on the internet said things to when should you change your timing belt. And one of the things that it mentioned was if your car's hydroplaning during wet weather. Now, what would hydroplaning have to do with the timing belt?
Hey, Rick.
And this came from EliteAccura.com.
I don't know why they'd be mixing those two together. That seems a little odd because hydroplaning is going to be a result of your tire tread being low. Maybe they're going because of keyword belt and radial belted tires.
If you're,
sometimes search engines can just lead you in a funny direction.
Sounds like a weird AI hallucination response.
No.
Are your pants falling down? You might need to change your timing belt.
Well, this is EliteAccura.com, and it says taking noise under the hood. I understand that. Engine doesn't start. Okay, I understand that. Engine misfiring while driving. I understand that. Oil leaking from the front side where the motor is. That's not timing belt. That's a gasket issue. And then hydroplaning while driving in wet weather. And then if the check engine light is on. And that's what they, as far as, it says timing belt needs to be replaced when these things happen.
I hydroplaned. I got a timing plate. I would just move on to a different source. That's a dealer's website.
Yeah.
It just sounds like there's something goofy in there that their web designer put in there from a bunch of notes when they put the page together.
Now, let me read something I just Googled.
Oh, we're wrong.
You've probably heard of hydroplaning before, and when it happens to be a worn-out timing belt. It's very similar to hydroplaning tires. If you're driving in the rain, water may get onto the timing belt.
Oh, okay.
An old belt won't be able to push the water out from between it and the pulleys, which will cause it to slip.
Okay, so we're not talking about tires hydroplaning. We're talking about a belt on a on a pulley.
Yeah.
Rick's is stretching his face to that is a stretch.
It's kind of thin line there.
But the thing is you've got splash shields. And the timing belt covers have rubber grommets on them, gaskets, that are supposed to keep the water out and away from the belt. You shouldn't be getting any water buildup on the belt. If you got so much water getting into that belt that hydraulically it's causing the belt to slip a tooth, which once a belt moves a tooth, you, especially on your Avalon, which should be the 3.3 liter engine, you're taking a chance on bending valves because that's a zero clearance engine.
Yeah. I think this is maybe a semantic misunderstanding.
Yeah, I think they're. What happens is a lot of these search engines, they use keywords, and belt is a keyword, which it may look at drive belt, seat belt, timing belt, belted tires, and it will mix that. Sometimes it gets confused. And it's pulling that up.
Yeah, the timing belt do hydroplane, but not like a tire. So it's a semantic thing.
Slips.
Now, my recommendation for doing your timing belt is replace the timing belt itself. While you're in there, inspect and be prepared. Be prepared to replace your water pump if you see any signs of a pink or white, like crusty powder-looking substance anywhere near the water pump. And what I would also do is very carefully inspect the two camshaft seals and the crankshaft seal and be ready to replace those as well.
What's that pink crusty stuff?
That's when Toyota uses what's called super long life coolant, and when if it's leaking
and it dries out.
and it dries up, it leaves behind this pink residue
crystalline substance
that gives you a great indicator. Hey, there's been a leak there.
Interesting.
Well, the kits that I've seen all have the gaskets for that. Especially the two little gaskets for the things. But I just had to look it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I had changed it at 70,000. I'm coming up on 205,000. I think, well, I better get it done and change it again. Before something happens.
Yep.
Might be a good idea. Real good idea, John.
If that timing belt moves enough teeth and the engine is running at speed, it can bend valves. So I would definitely preventative maintenance. Get that timing belt done.
Yeah. Why have additional problems? Yep. So, John, do you have any other questions?
No, that's it. I just want to say thank you to Toyota for keeping things standard most of the time. For instance, my daughter, this is her car, and she doesn't run it hard or anything like that, but she lost the gas cap at a gas station. So I went to U-Pull. I think I did tell you guys this. But anyways, there are so many Toyotas that use the same gas cap. I was able to purchase 3 or 4 of them when I took them off the cars in case she loses it again, and they were only $3 a piece.
Interesting.
Yep.
Wow.
So got,
Make a great birthday present for her.
Yeah.
I figure if she loses one, I'm sure she's going to lose some more. So, but I'm just I was able to pull one from a Camry, one from an Avalon, and one from I think a Corolla.
Yeah.
But because they're all the same gas caps, and they're
amazing. That's great.
So it was cheap to get it. I just stocked up on those just in case.
There you
Smart
go.
idea.
Can't be too careful. Hey, John, thanks for being part of the show and being a regular, and have yourself a great weekend.
You too. Thank you. See you later. Have a great year.
Thank you. Happy New Year. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Ladies, I'm waiting for 2 new lady callers. $50 if you give us a call this morning. You can win yourself $50 for the first 2 new lady callers. We have got a lot of calls backed up here. We're going to go to Frank, and before we talk to Frank, I'm going to tell Barbara and Joe Ellen, please hang in there. I'll be right with you. Good morning, Frank.
Well, good morning, and obviously welcome back to the show from last week.
Oh, thank you.
And I got to give a quick feedback to that last guy with the timing belt. I believe too had a little. Excuse me, I didn't mean to cough. Anyway, he had a little quick joke. I hope some of the other listeners call when you were talking about the belts, and he said, "If they're not right, your shorts might fall off." So I got that little, I should say, insert that in that. But anyway, let's go back to brakes for a minute. In the old days, I recall, for your brakes to adjust, if you go backwards sometimes and you're backing up on your brakes and they adjust that way, is that technique pretty well gone nowadays?
That was for drum brakes, because drum brakes, you had a little star wheel adjuster, and as you hit the brakes in reverse, the system was designed to make that actually ratchet and slowly adjust outwards by way of a screw, and that would decrease the space between the shoes and the drum. But disc brakes are inherently self-adjusting. That's just as the caliper squeezes the pads out, the piston moves out. When its seal pulls it back, it only pulls it back just a little. So they're always adjusted properly with disc brakes.
Okay. Well, I had a feeling it was a pretty old memory bank that it was back there. This is one for, I guess, for Earl and Nancy, especially for Nancy, where I didn't listen to your advice a few years ago when I bought a pickup truck for my son. I had a co-sign for it. And now, well, the good news was when we got it, Toyota had 0 interest for 5 years. So there's still a couple of years left on it. He wants to pay it off early, or because he needs to get some dental work done. And he doesn't want to have 2 bills, the truck and a dentist. And I told him, I said, it doesn't make sense. You got something that's going to be 0% versus some dentist that's going to get 20%. Do you have any advice, or is there any? Do we don't get anything back if we pay off early? Do we?
Listen to Daddy is the advice. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, absolutely right, Frank.
Okay.
I'll be. I mean, the amount of interest you have to pay today, I think, on a used car, he'd be looking at maybe 12-15%. I mean, new cars are pushing 10%. So the interest rates are crazy, and he's got a 0% locked in. He'd be crazy to trade that thing in.
Just throwing away money.
Well, that's good. What I'm going to do is have him listen to this show when we get it off the
There you
radio.
go. Why mess with
here.
perfection? You know,
There you
that's
go.
what I say.
One real quick flashback. Several years ago, I know that you met millions, well, not millions, but hundreds of thousands of people, I'm sure, over your years. I recall the very first time we met in person, and I'm going to reflect on that with you in just a moment. And I have a metal detecting business, and I also got a roof done, some insulation in my roof, this solar stuff that really did help with 2 solar heat extractors on the roof. And the dealer wanted me to give a testimony on the air. So I was down in the radio station many years ago, probably 13 years ago, maybe even longer. And it was from this 7:30 to 8 o'clock slot. And so as I'm getting off, I noticed you guys in the waiting room to go on the air. And I decided to pull a practical joke with you guys because I had a federal marshal badge. And I went over to Earl and opened my badge and said, "We're taking you off the air for defamation of character." Earl handled it very nicely. He said, I was preparing for this. My lawyer said this is probably going to happen. But one person kind of got a little more excitable than Earl. But anyway, do you remember that particular instance by any chance?
Yeah, I can't believe I don't. I have to be honest with you, I don't. But good Lord, what a great joke that was. I could have had a heart attack. You should be careful.
Well, you responded very calmly.
Yeah, I know.
You
I
knew
do.
it was coming. It's like you put your hands out and said, "Take me to jail."
Frank, how many times have we met you, Frank? Didn't we meet you right here?
I've
Yeah,
met
it was at
Frank.
the radio station.
Yeah, right
Yeah,
here, right out in the parking lot.
Donuts.
Yeah, I brought some.
You were bringing bagels over
for
to
Three
some.
Dog Ranch.
That's right.
Yeah, to
Big Dog Ranch.
So Frank, who got excitable in that moment?
Well, as much I hate to say it, Nancy basically said, "You son of a gun! I told you not to."
Nancy
talk so
came
much."
after you.
Well, see, you got to remember, I wasn't too far from. I was just begun to be a recovered car dealer, so just a few months or maybe a few years prior to that incident, I had been a low-level conniving criminal car dealer. So we criminals are trained not to panic when they see a badge because you have to be very calm and then look for your opportunity to escape. So it was just my criminal reaction there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you had given them a few more minutes, you would never see them again.
No, you did handle it very well, Earl. You just knew. Hey, what the heck?
And I'm glad that Nancy was
I
there.
get my one call. No, it was a lively match with Nancy. And also, I when they talk about your pricing and stuff like that, when I got that truck for my son, we went through the Costco.
Yeah.
So the price there, and I figured, well, I've talked to you on the air on one of your little what do you call it? Not bounty hunters. You know what I'm talking about.
Vigilante.
And all this and that. Vigilante. And so we're there in the dealership, and we're nailing everything out. And I saw you. I said, "Is there any chance we get a few more dollars off you?" "Absolutely not. This is the price." And so you're very firm. I said, and I was a little, hurt. I thought I was your friend. And I go, "Well, it doesn't matter if you're friend, family or not. You're going to pay the price, and that's the price." And I really, I admit, I admire your honor and stuff like that. So you really do tell the truth all the time. Anyway, let me let you get to other customers. You have a good day.
All right.
Take
Thank
care,
you, Frank.
That's Frank.
Well, it's great that we have so many seasoned callers, that have listened to the show for so long. And
that story with the badge, that sounds familiar, but I'm with you. I don't remember it like exactly, but it just sounds like something that happens to you.
And I try to control myself. I really do.
It doesn't matter if they got a badge.
Not good at it, but at any rate, our number here is 877-960-9960. And you can text us also at 772-497-6530. We're going to get to our next caller. And Barbara is giving us a call from West Palm Beach. She's called before and has continued to stay in touch with us. Good morning, Barbara.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Oh, good. Great. How are you doing?
Good. I'm just getting some gas in my 2010 Toyota Camry. And that's what I want to call about. I noticed Friday it was, yesterday. I was driving to work, and I'm like, man, my lights are so dim. And it was, I found out my headlight on the driver's side was out. And I don't know, since it's a 2010 and it's older, I've heard newer cars, you need to get, like, the whole assembly changed out. Is that true for my car, or can I just get a bulb?
I wish Rick was here to give you some more details, but generally speaking, I don't think that you can just replace a bulb anymore. It's part of like a whole headlight assembly.
Yeah, the whole kit you have to purchase.
And
Again, not knowing, because Rick's not here, one thing I would guess that it's entirely possible it could be a fuse or a connection.
Yeah.
And before you automatically replace the entire headlight assembly, I would get an honest opinion from a technician, because it'd be easy to sell you a new headlamp assembly, but it probably is the headlamp assembly, but it might not be.
Yours is a 2010, though. You did say it's a 2010.
Rick, you're here in the nick of time.
Yeah.
You
Rick
might
just
have a
walked
bulb.
back at the door.
You might have a bulb. You might have a bulb. It's a 2010. I'm Googling because Rick was out, but he's back. 2010 Corolla. Can they replace the bulb in the headlight?
I'm sorry, it's a Camry.
Oh,
Camry.
either or.
I've owned
Yeah.
before, but this one is a Camry.
She wants to know if she can replace a part, or she has to replace the whole set and
Bulb
purchase
assembly.
a kit.
A 2010 Camry, the headlight?
Yeah.
Should be just a bulb.
Hey, you lucked out.
Halogen.
I lucked out.
Yeah.
Halogen? Okay. Good. Because my brights work. I put my bright lights, the headlamps, and they're fine on both. And I'm wondering, too, since I don't remember ever having them change, is the other one going to go out pretty soon, since they're...
Actually, not likely. With headlights, it just seems like anymore, they're kind of random. It's not like when one goes, the others are going to go quickly. You'd be totally safe just putting one in.
Okay, sounds good.
Wow, a happy answer.
Thanks for the call, Barbara.
Rick to the rescue. Barb, thanks so much for staying in touch with us and being part of the female audience. And have yourself a great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye now.
Thank you. It was nice talking to you. We're going to go to Joe Ellen, that I have to say has been extremely patient. She's calling us from Fort Lauderdale. Good morning, Joe Ellen.
Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome.
I called before regarding my 2015 Nissan Altima with the transmission.
Yeah.
And so, I'm getting rid of the car because it's going to cost like $7,000 to fix.
Oh, okay.
So I have somebody looking for a car, and he just gave me a 2003 Acura RSX with 145,000 miles on it. And he says it's good, clean. I haven't seen it in person, and just wondering if I thought that was a lot of miles for, and they're asking $5,500 for it.
No,
not today. It just isn't. Rick,
that's the 2003 Acura RSX is a Honda product, which Honda basically.
It said Acura.
Yeah, but Acura is the upper level of Honda. That's their luxury brand, and It's like Toyota and Lexus, and 150,000 miles on that car is like a Chevrolet with 20,000 miles. I mean, that car's got probably another 200,000 miles left in it. You know, if you take care of it and
You just want
maintain
to be
it properly.
sure to take it to an independent mechanic and have him go over it with a fine-tooth comb.
Absolutely.
In other words, you might have to pay $200, but before you spend the $5,000, spend the $200. Have your technician, not the person that's selling you the car, go over it and check it out carefully. And what will probably happen is there'll be a few things that he'll point out, and then you could go back to the seller and say, "We got a deal, but I want you to take care of this for me first." On the other hand, you might even find something serious. But as Rick said, it's a good product, and as long as you get the stamp of approval from your mechanic, you'll have to pay for it. It's well worth the investment.
Well, what would you consider a mechanic inspection? I mean, putting it on a scanner but it has to be more than that, of course. But
yeah, they should put it up on it. Well, first thing is you take it for a test drive and feel for any issues there. Make sure everything's working, all the windows, all the door locks. Make sure you got all the warning lights are operational and then nothing's staying on. They should also put it up on a lift and inspect the engine, transmission, look for any leaks. Make sure you don't have a lot of rust under there. They should be looking at your tires, the brakes, the drive belts. Make sure that everything's in good shape.
And be sure the mechanic is ASE certified. He'll have a badge probably on his shirt, or at least he'll have the credentials, and they have to go redone every year, right?
Every 5 years.
Every 5 years. So ASE certified, and how he should be certified in what, Rick? What particular?
He should be a master mechanic.
Master mechanic, ASE, certified master mechanic. There are a lot of them out there, but there's also more of them that aren't. So get yourself an ASE, certified master mechanic, pay him $200, have him to check the car out. You get the seal of approval. You got a real good buy there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Joellen, I have to thank you for asking such important questions, and it's so what an I mean, $200. I mean, this is a good investment, for a vehicle that you're going to have for a long time. Yes,
hey,
Rick.
Joellen, if you really want to make sure that mechanic's going to look your car over real well and really do a good job of it, bring him a box of chocolate chip cookies. Homemade chocolate chip cookies as well. And I guarantee he will tear that thing apart to make sure it's right for you.
Just because you like chocolate chip cookies.
But, I'm not a baker, but I'll keep that in mind. One last thing I would say, I appreciate the $50 that you sent me, but you know what? I think that if you reduce it even down to 25 or 35, 50 is a lot of money, I think. So just my input.
Oh, thank you so much, Joellen. I appreciate that.
Oh, okay.
No, but I said that. I said, you know what? It really. I think $25 people would even be interested in making a call. I love listening to your program, and I've told my friends all about it. I'm not sure if they get up that early, but
we appreciate that, Joellen. And again, give us a follow-up call on your situation, and have yourself a great weekend.
Okay, you as well.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
We're going to take some time and take a look at some texts and get to Rick.
I thought we had more phone calls. I thought everybody was just waiting for you to come back. Like we had no calls last week. No, we had calls, but not like today. Yeah, they're waiting for you. You're the star.
Oh, thank you.
We were dealing with technical problems last week without Jonathan.
Yeah. Speaking of Jonathan, as you can tell, everyone listening, that Jonathan is back and he's irreplaceable. He is a digital expert, the VIP of digital operations.
Digital cowboy.
Yeah, there he is. He's a wild cowboy. Thank you for all you do, Jonathan. Everyone here, we're all back, and it seems like as if that all of the pieces of the puzzle have connected and we're whole again. So at any rate, thank you all for your dedication in listening to the show. So we'll get to the
Sure,
text, and we'll get to YouTube's whenever Stu is finished up.
Yeah, with Anne-Marie kicked it off with good morning. Confession, I could be accused of being an automotive Luddite because I have a fondness for manual transmissions, cars with knobs and dials for the radio and AC and levers for directional signals and windshield wipers, and steering wheels. You don't even have a steering wheel. I also like seat belts, properly working airbags, and then I like brakes.
Oh, I hate seat belts.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
I got used to them.
They're hard to put on and take off. Once they're on, I'm fine with it. But
remember the ones that used to automatically come over, like some of the old domestic cars?
Yeah.
I think being a big guy, but Anne-Marie, to all the dials and buttons and everything, I'm on board with that. Let's get it back.
Yeah, she says, but things and times are changing. Every year, auto manufacturers create new technologies and accessories for their vehicles. In your opinion, what are the best new safety features on the latest vehicles that Luddites like me are most likely to appreciate? Thank you. And P.S. I hope Nancy is feeling better. First I thought it was an easy question, but it's not. It's not what are your favorite safety features, because I got my favorite safety feature I don't think a Luddite would like, and that's the lane trace assist. That keeps you. It's almost like automatic driving.
So the lane change, but the warning when you're
right. So I'm got to remind someone who doesn't like technology in general, what's something that they can buy into, and I think the mirror warning things like you're talking about, because that's first of all, if you're
blind spot monitor.
The blind spot monitor, that's right. That's the right name for it, or BSM.
And the automatic stop.
What did we do without that?
I think it's the things you don't have to think about. Those are the ones I would tell Anne-Marie. Exactly. Things that just happen automatically in the background and helps keep you safe.
Yeah.
Things you don't have to push or figure out. What's that, Rick?
The other function of the blind spot monitors, the rear cross traffic alert.
Yeah.
So if you're in a parking spot and you put it in reverse to back up, if a car is coming up the lane, it'll beep and light up to let you know a car's coming down.
And you couldn't see it if you look for it.
Couldn't, no.
They come out of the blind spot. You're at Costco or Publix, and these crazy people are running up and down the aisles.
Well, you're in between a couple of vans.
People and cars.
And you
can't see. That falls in the category of how does it know? Because there's no sensors sticking out in the parking lot. It just has a very
magic.
It's magic. No, the sensors in the rear of the car has a very broad view of this sonar or radar, whatever it's doing. Which we should probably know Rick knows what it's doing, but it's doing something. But it's really cool, and it can save damaging your car or hitting a pedestrian.
We know it's doing something good.
Anne-Marie, if you're listening, if you take a test drive in a car with the features we're talking about and have them demonstrated to you, you will have to buy the car. I guarantee you it will save you from an accident one day. It will save you.
Backup camera.
Another one. They're standard now. We take that for granted.
Yeah.
But the backup camera used to be. I used to rave about that, but now it's good, but it's not nearly as good as some of the other features. My Tesla has got so many safety features that I have to tell you, I take it for granted. So I allow my automatic braking and warnings and things like that to happen. And I relax my own vigilance when I'm driving, which is probably a bad thing to do, but that's how good they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the extension to that, they now have what's known as bird's eye view, where the cameras all around your car can actually show you a very accurate picture
it's crazy.
of your car from above, and you'll be able to see everything on the ground around you.
Honestly. It's like watching the red zone on Sunday when we're watching football.
If you look at my Tesla, you'll be amazed at what it shows you. I actually have too many ways on the Tesla to find out if someone is passing me or coming up behind me. I have several cameras. It's a redundancy in terms of I never use my rear view mirror. And practically never use my side view mirrors anymore.
Yeah. But, it took me a while to relax and give in to that system on the Tesla, because you just, you feel like as if that you're in your comfort zone when you're looking through the rear view mirror, and, you're not depending upon all of these features that the Tesla has, but they are great features and they really keep you safe. So, Anne-Marie, thank you.
All right. Next, let's go over to anonymous feedback because there's a few came in, and I got to log in because it logged me out. Let's see. The first one, I just purchased a Buick with an $8,000 discount from MSRP. This didn't stop them from having an addendum sticker on the car when I got there. $8,000 off MSRP and $1,250 rebate made up for the $899 dealer fee in my mind. I hate the games. And they hit the nail on the head.
Well stated. I mean, it's lying and cheating and bait and switch advertising. And you used the verbiage. The texter used the verbiage. They were selling it below MSRP. Well, they weren't selling it below MSRP. That was the whole point, and that's why this Federal Trade Commission regulation kicking in July is going to be a wonderful thing.
And your column was a great thing that you wrote for this past week.
Well, let's go through
I have a question. There was a text that came in, and it's a good question. I was trying to answer it because we were so busy with the phones. So a question, this is from Bob, and he wants to know, with the battery recall on the RAV4, what happens if you need a new battery before the fix? And the battery recall came out a couple of months ago. It was, it could be loose. So if you, in a hard turn, the battery could like shift and potentially arc and cause a fire. His question is, what if you need a new battery before then? Before then, not from the recall, but let's say your battery dies. And I said, I assume you could put a new battery in and it would just be loose like that. You still need a fix because they got the clamp is the issue or something. What's the deal, Rick?
You can actually tighten it down securely as long as the battery is the proper size.
Right.
You want to make sure that it's a Group 35 battery.
He's on the list. So Bob is on the list. So he's got the small top or the improperly fitting battery.
Right, and they're replacing all, because a lot of manufacturers make batteries. They make the cases sometimes different sizes. It's some of these smaller manufacturer companies, for some reason, they just make them a little different.
Mm-hmm.
The main thing you want to be sure of is that when the battery is in and that clamp is in place, that the battery is not able to move. That clamp should be able to tighten down on 99% of the batteries to get tight enough to hold it.
Right.
And the reason it's only 99 is why they've come out actually with the second part of that campaign, where Toyota's going to replace the actual tray that the battery sits on and that clamp assembly and redesign it to make it to fit 100% of the batteries, nice and secure, and they cannot move so you don't short.
So if Bob leaves his keys in the car, whatever lights on, and his battery drains, he can still get a replacement battery before the clamp assembly. So don't worry about it, Bob.
Just make sure that it's the proper size battery, and that when it's installed, that clamp is nice and tight.
Okay, there you go. More incognito. I've just bought a Ford Fusion from Seattle to live in Alaska, and it has a recall on the power steering, and I bought it 2 years ago. What are my options at this point? Get it fixed. They don't expire.
Yep.
So you can take it to a Ford dealership in Alaska, and they will fix it for free, and it should be pretty easy. Yeah. That's the way it works.
I would contact the dealership first and ask them about the availability of parts. And if the parts are going to be a long time coming, ask them what the dealer will do, or what the manufacturer will do
to help you with the transportation.
To arrange transportation for you if that vehicle is unsafe to drive.
Yeah.
Great advice.
Another anonymous feedback. I wonder how dealers will disclose their add-on fees with this new FTC legislation. Will it be in microtype at the bottom of the contract, hidden from easy view by the consumer? That's the current way they do it. How will the FTC enforce this legislation? They aren't doing a very good job enforcing current FTC regulations. Thanks, Earl, for another informative video. That must come through for YouTube.
I was going to segue into my column, and if we're running short on time here, so this week's column is Demand Your Congressperson Make Known Their Support. And, of course, that's a support on the combating auto retail scams, CARS, C-A-R-S, combating auto retail scams. Make sure your Congress. Now, I feel almost like I'm joking because people are there's an apathy, and this is my point in my column. We complain a lot about what politicians do, but it's very difficult to get people to contact their representatives and their senators in Congress or their state senators and representatives. We sit there and complain all day long, but we don't get proactive. The only way this Federal Trade Commission regulation, it's gone through the process, it's going into effect July 30th of this year. The only way it will not go into effect is if the Congress and the Senate stop it. Now they're already on that bandwagon, and there's already organization for this, for the Congress, U.S. Congress, to stop the FTC regulations based on there's loopholes of stopping things.
Yeah.
It's not the regulations will exist, but they will be.
The regulations, the law is already there, and they're making the regulations based on the law. If Congress makes a new law that carves out car dealers, they can do that as long as it passes and gets signed by whoever the president's
going to be. So I'm going to try something. I haven't even discussed this with anybody yet, but this came to, I've been thinking about it. And Stu, I talked last week about putting something on our website. So to help mobilize Earl on Cars audience and anybody that knows about this issue, what I will do for the Florida representatives in U.S. Congress, the Florida senators, that's Marco Rubio and Rick Scott, and for the 28 Congress people in the U.S. Congress from Florida, I'm going to offer to donate to their favorite charity. If you are a member of the Congress, I will donate $500 to your favorite charity. If you're a Florida U.S. representative, if you will clearly state your position. I'm not trying to bribe you with the $500. I want you to, in writing, clearly state your position of supporting the FTC CARS Act or not supporting it. And I mean clear. I don't mean you're thinking about it. I'll support it if you do this, because that's another way to slow walk legislation. I want to know if the Florida U.S. Congress, the senators and the representatives, will support or will not support. If you don't want to support it, that's okay, but don't keep quiet about it. Don't do it in the smoke-filled room. Don't do it behind the scenes. You let the voting public know that you will not support the CARS Act. I will donate $500 to your favorite charity, and if you donate the money to Big Dog Ranch, I'll make it $1,000. Now, I have and that's for the representatives. For the senators, for Rick Scott and Marco Rubio, I'll give $2,000 to Big Dog Ranch and $1,000 to your favorite charity. All you have to do is state in writing that you will support or will not support, as written, the Federal Trade Commission CARS Act, and that's combating auto retail scams. Now, if you sit on your hands until July with that offer on the table, you're screwing charity, because all we ask is transparency. Say, I will not support it, and you say that in writing, clearly, I will donate $1,000 if you're a senator and $500 to your favorite charity, and if it'll go to Big Dog Ranch Rescue, I'll double it and make it $2,000 for the Senate, and I'll make it $1,000 for the congressional representatives.
There you go.
Very compelling.
I think so. And we'll put that on our website, and we'll talk about it. And you folks that have heard this now, and if anybody knows Marco Rubio or Rick Scott or any of your district representatives in U.S. Congress, send them an email. Say, hey, your favorite charity.
Yeah. Hey, Lois Frankel and Brian Mast, come on.
Yeah.
You're listening right now. We know you are.
Yeah. It'll be real interesting to see what happens, right?
Yeah. Very interesting.
Exactly.
Silence is the weapon of the politician. They pretend like they don't hear us, and they only respond when there's pressure. Here's some real pressure, because we got you either way. If you keep quiet, you will be known as the Senate or the congressman that refused to say what position they took on a policy. No reason. We can't ask you to support a policy or be against a policy. That's on your conscience. But to deny a charity a generous contribution because you're going to keep your mouth shut because you're afraid to tell the truth, that's going to cost you a re-election, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. All right. The campaign begins. All right. Is it time?
We'll go back a little bit here. Donovan says, a little late today, but to Nancy's question earlier about charging at the mall, she used a level 2 charger. That's about the same as what a home AC power at 32 to 48 amps, so not very fast. The fast chargers that everyone wants charge in DC power at a much higher output, hundreds of amps at a much higher voltage to charge in minutes. And let's see,
what do you have to plug them
here.
into, a 240?
Yeah, 240 volts, but it's converting it to DC for your home charger. But also, I think he means the superchargers are charging DC current instead of charging AC, and therefore charges much quicker.
Yeah, who was it?
That's from Donovan.
Oh, Donovan. Oh,
Yeah.
I love Donovan. He always has such great information for us. Thank you, Donovan. I did not know that.
And he says that he had to make an airport run yesterday, Port St. Lucie to Miami and back in his Polestar, 256-mile round trip, and he charged for only 6 minutes in the middle of it as he was at the airport.
Is that right?
So that's Polestar apparently got a pretty decent vehicle there.
Can't ask for anything more.
Problem being that financially they're hanging by a thread.
Yeah, and then also he and Cliff's Picks were also having a bit of a discussion back and forth about the Hertz cars being up for sale, saying there are apparently quite a few Tesla Model 3s being sold for. Now Donovan says he saw them for $16,000. Cliff said he was seeing $21,000. So the 16,000 ones may have sold out. But apparently they're still for sale.
They sell directly on their website. Hertz is selling 20,000 EVs directly, and I have a feeling the prices are going to be quite low because electric vehicle used car prices are very depressed right now. So I see Hertz going bankrupt again. I believe Hertz is about ready to throw the towel in. They've already been bankrupt once. They came back. They made this really stupid idea that they're going to be an entire electric vehicle fleet. Now they're going to have to dump 20,000 EVs very quickly. So if you want an EV used vehicle, go on the Hertz website and see what the price is. Check out that compared to the competitive prices around. But you can get a hell of a deal on a EV today, a used EV today.
Earl, was that the Wall Street Journal? Was that the article we were reading this morning that I had given you on Hertz?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, they're mentioning Tesla Model 3, 21s, so 2 years old, with around 20,000 miles for $21,000, which I think is probably about half the price of a new.
Well,
3.
we don't know what the current market is. We could get that number, but we'll see. It probably is a good price because they're not messing around. They just need to. They need cash.
Yeah,
in
they
a
want to
hurry.
dump.
They're in trouble. Yeah.
And then, of course, for the average buyer, your only real upshot there is you still have to put a home charger in. But even then, might be worth considering for anyone that's looking.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Do you have anything else over there?
That's got us pretty well caught up here.
Okay. We are going to go to the mystery shopping report. And I want to let you know that you can vote by texting us at 772-497-6530. We did a mystery shop at Mullinex Ford, and Agent Lightning was out there, using her magic again.
I'm assuming that's the Mullinex Ford here in Palm Beach County.
It is North Palm Beach.
Yeah, North Palm Beach. Okay, well, Mullinex Ford, as you regular listeners know, is one of the good guys, and they actually pioneered the one price. many years ago, before we did, which is they were the only ones that I know. So our dealership, I think, started how many years ago did we go to one price?
2012, 12 years ago.
Yeah, so
wow.
Molnex beat us on that. I'll read this in the first person is if I were Agent Lightning, who did the shop. I arrived just after dark. Was greeted by the front customer receptionist. Is anyone expecting you this evening? She asked. No, I haven't been in touch with anyone. I replied, but I would love more information on this car right here on the showroom floor. I was referring to a new 2022, you got to laugh, a new 2022 Ford Explorer. I mean, in case you haven't checked your calendar, this is 2024, and they're calling this a new car. The new 2022 Ford Explorer with an MSRP of $48,335 on the showroom floor, but it was discounted to $41,900. There was a disclaimer written on the windshield in white grease pen explaining that the price was predicated on a rebate for financing with Ford Motor Credit. So we'll find out about that later. There was also a sheet of paper taped to the window indicating that the vehicle had been damaged and repaired. Florida law requires that a new car with greater than 1% of the MSRP damage repair has to be disclosed up front to the customer.
Of the damage.
So 1% of MSRP would.
When we've had to deal, like we put the repair order with on the windshield that shows exactly what happened to the car, and it's been a while since we had to do that. But
so that would have meant that the cost of the repair was greater than $483 because that's 1% of the MSRP.
He said it was a hood and a windshield.
The receptionist said, I'm not sure if it's available, but I'll call a salesman to come and help you. That's a strange statement because it's on the showroom floor.
With the sticker. Well, maybe she doesn't know if there's a deal working on it.
Yeah, well,
but it's been there for 2 years. Just today, after 2 years, 2 people came in on the same day.
She's a receptionist, so let's not pick on her. Maybe it's her first day on the job.
Right.
A few minutes later, a salesman came out and introduced himself as Jake. Your son's not working at any...
he is not. I double-checked the last name. It's Shaw, not Stewart.
Exactly. The car is available, he confirmed. It's a 2022 model used in-house, so you can get a really good deal on it, and it's still under manufacturer's warranty. Are you thinking about
part of it?
Yeah,
some of it.
Are you thinking about trading anything in this evening? I'm considering trading in my RAV4 hybrid, but I'm still undecided. I told him I meant to try to get an appraisal on Agent Lightning's cars.
I have an estimate. From,
good.
I couldn't get into V-Auto last night because it's stupid password things, but I sent the information to Josh and he gave me a figure.
Good. Do you have it here with you today, referring to the RAV4 hybrid that Agent Lightning drives? Jake inquired. Yes, I said. He suggested taking my keys to appraise the RAV4 as they were very busy at the moment. I agreed and handed my keys. Who is the loan through, he asked. It's already paid off. That's great. It'll make your loan even smaller, he said. A few minutes later, Jake returned with his sales manager who informed me about a camera recall and another issue for which they couldn't get parts. Bear in mind, this is 2022. They still can't get parts. Okay.
Well, maybe the recall was more recent.
Yeah.
When it was 2022.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, one of the reasons why the current model cars, they're diverting the parts to the manufacturer of the new car, and that's the reason you can't get the parts to repair a car, but this is just you can't get the parts, period, because they're not building any 2022s, is my point. The warranty is, this I don't understand either. The warranty is only good for 36,000 miles or until June 2025. Now, isn't the rule the car warranty time starts to expire when you deliver the car to the retail buyer?
Date of first use. So if they register it as a demo, he said it was used in-house. So we didn't get the details, but if it was registered as a
okay, yeah, that's
demo,
fine. I didn't think about that. They registered it as a demonstrator. Okay, yeah.
reported it as a demo.
My guess is they didn't, but
Right. Anyway. Or he could be wrong about the warranty, but it goes on the date of first use, whether a customer takes delivery or it's put into service.
But it only has a little over 5,000 miles on it. He handed me some paperwork with all the information and went back to his office. Sales manager said, since you're not sure what you want to do with your car, he'll work it out both ways. I said, thanks, and sat and waited for about 20 minutes. But Jake kept me company. He said that the car wouldn't qualify for any special financing, but assured me that I wouldn't find a 2022 fully loaded Ford Explorer with a better price tag, which should compensate for any financing a new Explorer may offer. The manager returned and he reviewed two options on his worksheet for me. The first one was with my hybrid RAV4 as a trade-in. The second option was with financing. The top line was MSRP, $48,335. They showed a $5,435 discount and a selling price of $42,900. I pointed out that the special price was supposed to be $41,900, and he says, "Oh my, it does. Let me go fix that."
That sounds like a real.
Yeah, it sounds like legit. He said, returned a few minutes later, apologized, explaining that the online prices are always changing. He handed me the updated sheets. The price had been corrected, $41,900. The only things added were sales tax and $311 in tag title fees. Yeah. I mean, that's something you don't see today.
Well, you see it down the street.
You just don't see it. And Molinex, that's the reason we have them on our recommended list, is they don't have junk fees.
We can't recommend them higher.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, they dropped that little thing that, remember, and you had contacted the brothers.
Yeah.
And
they had a teeny dealer fee, and they took that off.
Right, because they didn't realize, apparently, that it technically was.
Yeah. The second worksheet included my trade, which they valued at $26,000, but like the first, it had no junk fees. Now, Stu has an estimate on what that...
Okay, I'm going to give a disclaimer. I wanted to book it out myself, and I had a hard time. I couldn't log into the site, so I texted the information on Agent Lightning's RAV4 to my brother. He booked it out real quick. And there's a difference between an appraisal and booking something out. He thinks it's worth about $31,000.
Okay.
But that's without looking at it, and that's without, and we're also a Toyota dealership, and we sell used RAV4s like crazy, and maybe they're a little less excited about it.
So the same thing applies when you're trading a car, and you always shop and compare the price with at least three other sources. Today is easier than ever before in the history of automobile retail to get a price on your trade-in. You could go to WeBuyAnyCar.com, you could go to CarMax, the best way to get another opinion. Then you go to the used car lot of the manufacturer of the vehicle that you're trading in. So if you're driving a Honda, you take it to a Honda dealer used car department, say, I want to sell my car. But in a few hours, you could get half a dozen good, firm prices on your trade-in, and that's what you need to do. In this case here, we think they're a little light on the $26,000. We think it could be worth $30,000.
31. 31.
31. What do you think, he asked, salesman asked me. I'm a little surprised that the price for my car is only $26,000. I said. He handed me a sheet and explained that they compared to others available.
What he did is he had a V-Auto sheet that showed retail prices. And so I think he might have been explaining that, well, if we gave you that much, they're being sold retail for that much on V-Auto that he saw. And I didn't see the date range or what it was, or some things to consider, but he might have a point.
Yeah, and I give Molinex, they're honest people. I mean, that's the reason we have them on our highly recommended list, actually.
Gold star.
Yeah. I said, my car is in perfect condition. I just need 4 new tires. Jake responded by saying, if you have a number in mind, please tell me. I have a little room to work with you. I'd love to earn your business. I told him I was thinking about it. Just then my husband called. I took the call, then told Jake I had to hurry. I thanked him and said I'd let him know what I decided. So there you have it. It's a recommended it. We go back even on the good dealers because sometimes good dealers become bad dealers. Less frequently, bad dealers become good dealers, but we still go back on both those. So we try to keep our Mr. Shopping Report evaluations and recommended list versus non-recommended fairly fresh and current. And if you go to earloncars.com and we shop the car in your area, I would start there. I would stay away from anybody on the do not buy list. You have to have a terrible grade. You have to have an F, and when you get an F, that means you are a thieving son of a gun.
Lawbreaker.
You're right.
Yeah, lawbreaker.
If you get an F from us.
Yeah, we are the kind. You know what?
Yeah.
That's one thing. We have built up this capital of we don't give bad grades easily.
And when, on the do not buy list, the dealer should be in jail. Let's put it that way. That's how bad they are. So definitely don't buy a car from the do not buy list. Go to the recommended list and then be real careful and try to find one with a higher score. So we have people on the recommended list with as low as D.
Right.
It's one away from F. So I steer clear of the Ds unless I absolutely had to.
Yeah,
go
that's
with
usually, there's not a lot of alternatives if we have a D dealer up there.
And we do grade on the. If you're thinking about the vote, we hope you're going to text us now. If you're going to vote, please remember we grade on the curve. Nancy explained that at the beginning of the Mr. Shopping Report. And a curve means, there are no perfect dealers, and there are no, there's no zero dealers. So the average dealer is a C, and if A dealers are like hen's teeth, few and far between, and F dealers are rare too. I mean, we don't have very many Fs.
Nope.
And you
Okay.
can vote at 772-497-6530, and you can also take advantage of YouTube with Rick.
Oh,
And,
I can't wait for Rick's grades to come in. I got 2 already. I think we're all in alignment. I have Frank, refreshing shopping report, gives him an A, and Bob in Maryland gives an A for Molinex Ford, and I'm giving him a solid A as well. I can't think of anything wrong that happened. Maybe some confusion over the, like with the age of the car.
It's sloppy. A 2022 on the showroom floor. I mean, I guess actually, where else? That's what we do with a car.
Well,
we couldn't sell.
Maybe not for 2 years. Or not 2 years, but
Yeah, I mean,
a new car will make a trip to the used car auction if it doesn't.
Well,
doesn't
that's
go.
not. It doesn't reflect on their transparency.
No.
It's just on their.
The experience that it was so much better than when she told me she was at Molinex Ford. I just felt a sense of relief because I feel guilty sometimes sending Agent Lightning into battle. So she had an easy shop, and they get an A from me.
True.
Okay, we've got Joseph Kelleher, C. Grade would have been higher had they given a bigger discount on the 2-year-old vehicle. Starting a little hard here. Let's see, here we go. Okay, Johnny Z. Fradley, Mullinax, with a quote around the A in Mullinax, is A-okay.
All right.
God, I love these. Brian Sidlatko, no junk fees, thumbs up. However, the trade-in value was a bit too low, B+. Tim Gilliland, A. Tom Steckel, he retracted his message. And that's all. Oh, I'm frozen. That's what happened. Let's refresh that page.
It is cold in
There
here.
we go. Mark Ryan, A. Cliff's picks, I'll go with a B+. Mark Smith, I give an A. Tom Steckel, a Mullinax Ford, no dealer fees. Always bring your online appraisals with you. And if you're going to include your car in a trade-in. So A from Tom Steckel.
Mm-hmm.
Myself, trade-in was a little low, but I'm still going to give him the A-. Like Earl says, nobody's really perfect, but I think Mullinax comes as close as you can get.
Agreed.
I do. And Earl, what is your vote?
I'm gonna give him an A.
Give him an A?
Yeah.
Okay, well, they would have gotten an A from me, but I just didn't like the idea that they were going to steal that trade. So for that, I give them a B.
Okay. That's good. And that's like the only bad thing, if Agent Lightning had come in and gotten a couple of other appraisals, it would have gone perfectly. She might have led with that, but appraisal, to boil it down, is just a informed opinion, and you take it to different appraisers, and that opinion, you'll see the difference of opinions there.
Yeah, definitely.
I just Googled Mullinax Ford. I didn't realize this, but there are Mullinax Ford dealerships in Alabama and Washington, and I know there's one or two others. One's in Apopka for Florida. So, you folks in Alabama and Washington, you're looking to buy a Ford.
Yeah.
Find Mullinax. They're one of the best dealers we've ever shopped.
Yeah, definitely. And this here is proof right here that whenever I talk about doing your homework, this is part of your homework whenever you have a trade-in, to be prepared whenever you go into a dealership. So everybody is learning from everything that we're doing right here, and all of our advice. Earl, would you like to talk about the?
Let me pitch my offer to the U.S. Congress, and this is the Florida U.S. Congress. We'll see if we can expand this, but we're talking about the combating auto retail scam. I say legislation. It's already in effect. The rules for Federal Trade Commission, CARS, combating auto retail scam, takes effect July 30th of this year, and it will, if enforced, and I underline enforced, it will make car buying a pleasant experience after 100 years in America. Very important. The Federal Trade Commission really had the courage to put this thing down. Now, of course, the politicians will be attacking it. How do we stop the politicians from pulling the teeth out of the Federal Trade Commission's CARS Act? We get them to go on record. And what I am going to do at Earl on Cars to get things started for the Florida representatives in the U.S. Congress, the Senate and the representatives, the senators, I'll tell you the senators, they're Rick Scott, Senator Rick Scott, used to be Florida's governor, and Marco Rubio, who is in the U.S. Senate now for Florida. If they will go on the record saying that they support or do not support. I'm not going to tell them how to vote. Support or do not. Go on the record. You will clearly support or do not support the CARS Act by the Federal Trade Commission. I'll give $2,000 to your favorite charity. Not to your campaign, and not to you personally, to your favorite charity. I'm sorry, it's $1,000 to your favorite charity, $2,000 to Big Dog Rescue, because that's our favorite charity.
Yeah.
So if you're a senator, we'll give $2,000 to Big Dog Rescue, $1,000 to your favorite charity. If you're a representative, we have 28 representatives in Florida.
The congressional delegation from Florida.
The U.S. congressional delegation from Florida. If they do it, it's $500 to your favorite charity, $1,000 to Big Dog Ranch Rescue. State that you support or do not support, clearly, unequivocally, the Federal Trade Commission combating auto retail scams regulations.
And we hope you support it.
Let the games begin.
We hope you support it, but just don't remain silent. Don't stonewall. Don't pretend like you don't know this is happening, because you're going to have to go on record, or you're going to cost your favorite charity $1,000 or $2,000.
And our favorite charity.
You heard it right here, folks. You heard how passionate the recovering car dealer feels about this, and it is an amazing. It's going to be an amazing change. So let the games begin.
Rick, Mark Ryan's asking, any word on your book?
No.
Stop it, Mark.
We're trying to hit this on a high note.
Mark Ryan.
It's very close.
We'll get back with you.
Very close.
We'll get back with you. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful weekend. Jonathan, thank you for the great backdrop. Happy Martin Luther King Day. And to the teams that made it to the playoffs, congratulations. And I do have to say congratulations to the Steelers. And have a wonderful weekend enjoying all of these amazing teams, talented teams. Go Steelers.